Alrighty, well, good evening to everyone who is joining us. One of the best things about being at a military college is all of the meetings start right on time. So welcome to everybody who's joining us live here on our um, Zoom webinar. This webinar is for our incoming members of our class of 2025. I can tell you with our campus very quiet, we are all counting down to the days where we get to welcome you all to campus here in August. For those that are joining us on YouTube, if you have any questions and you're watching a recording of this, you can always shoot me an email. So the emails that you've been getting from Derek Harris, feel free if you have any questions and weren't able to join us this evening and again are joining us via YouTube recording, you're more than welcome to shoot me an email and let's make sure that your questions are answered. I just have a couple of things that I want to make sure that I mention here. Our last and final webinar will be on Wednesday, June 23rd. So it is the fourth Wednesday of June, June 23rd. Again, same time, same place. And we're going to be talking about career options and career pathways for you guys to explore, because I can tell you right out of the gate, you guys are going to be some of the most sought after cadets on campus for jobs. There's no shortage of engineering jobs, both on the civilian side and the military, and even in some cases, a hybrid of civilian military. And so again, you want to make sure that your degree leads to a job. And I can tell you engineering does just that. And so we're going to be talking about the opportunities that are before you. So again, that's June 23rd, same time, same place. So the Zoom link doesn't change and the time doesn't change. If you have questions, just to make sure that you don't go viral for a baby crying in the background or a dog jumping up there and making a fool, we have muted your mics. However, if you are one of our cadet panelists, you have been given the power to unmute yourself. So that way you can jump in, answer questions. But if you do have any questions for our cadet panelists, that is going to be what we're going to mainly focus on, is your questions. So tonight is going to be up to you. The questions and content that we're going to be covering are based on your questions. And so we're really going to rely heavily on everyone out there to ask these guys all of the questions that you guys are dying to know. They're going to tell you the stuff that you're not going to find in any brochure, that you're not going to hear from our admissions officers. Again, they're going to tell you firsthand what it's like being an engineering cadet here at the Citadel. If you have any questions that are more of a personal or private nature that you haven't been able to ask yet, whether it be financial aid, admissions, or anything else, feel free to email me directly. Again, my job is to make sure that you guys have all of the questions that you need answered ahead of time before you get to the Citadel. Immediately after hearing from our cadets, we're joined by our 3 department heads. So we're joined by Dr. Mark McKinney, Robert Rabb, and Dr. Jeff Davis, and they're here to answer questions that cadets might not be able to answer. So there will be a general question and answer for our department heads, maybe about your plan of study, high school credits that are coming in, math placement, those sort of things. And we will stay on for about 15 to 20 minutes after our cadets finish, and we'll make sure to take some questions, some general questions. So I see some parents out there. I'm sure that you all have some questions as well. So again, we're thankful that you're joining your future cadets here, and feel free to ask questions from your end as well. And then again, the discussion doesn't just end tonight. We will continue being in contact with you over the next couple of weeks, and then as you guys get here. So again, feel free to continue to reach out to us with any questions that you have. We realize that this is a huge transition and that there are probably going to be a lot of moving pieces for you. And that's why we're here, is again to make sure that your questions are answered. If there are any other cadet panelists that have joined us, please shoot me a private message in the chat feature so I can make sure that you have been given co-host permissions. That way you guys can unmute and mute yourself. So with that, let me introduce our panel that are joining us this evening. Where is my participant thing here. So tonight we are joined by Cadet Sackett, Earls, Wilson, and Desmore, and they will be answering questions again from the cadet perspective. So with that, why don't we start with Mr. Sackett, if you want to just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about where you're from and what you're studying.
Hi, my name is Charles Sackett. I'm from Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, and I'm a mechanical engineering major.
Awesome. Mr. Earls?
Hey, my name's Dylan, and I'm from Union, South Carolina, and I'm studying electrical engineering.
Awesome. Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, my name is Hunter Wilson. I'm from Sumter, South Carolina, and I'm also doing electrical engineering.
Great. And last but not least, Mr. Desmore, thanks for joining us.
Hello, my name is Joshua Desmore. I'm from Beaufort, South Carolina, and I am studying mechanical engineering.
Great. I don't see any questions appearing in the chat. Again, we're going to rely heavily on you guys to give us questions to answer. Why don't we start off with our electrical engineers? What's your favorite part about the major?
My personal favorite thing about the major is like how well bonded we are as classmates and everything like that. Like other majors are a lot larger than we are, so it really makes for a better bond in the electrical department, and that's my favorite thing about the major.
Awesome. Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, kind of going off of what Earls is saying. Yeah, it just kind of keeps us pretty close knit, just like working on homework assignments, projects, stuff like that together, kind of just using our minds to cooperate with each other and just perform the best, like in labs and anything like that. So I just think the camaraderie is pretty good.
Great. I know we've got quite a few mech majors out there. So what's been your favorite part about studying mechanical engineering at the Citadel?
Well, for me personally, mechanical engineering has let us kind of study a broad overview of everything that we're going to be doing, from the civil engineering aspect to the electrical engineering aspect, and then hitting pretty hard on the mechanical engineering aspect, giving us that great, what we'll see a little bit of here and there in the other kind of majors, and kind of then focus on what we'll be doing in the other things. So that's what I like most about it.
Personally, I really like all the professors I've had. I only just finished my freshman year, so I don't have a lot of experience, but so far they've all been really charismatic, really interesting people, and they all got their own research things going on the side. So there's a lot of opportunities there. There's always, you can, get into materials if you want, or you can focus on robotics. It's really up to you. And it's nice to have that kind of variety and options.
Great. Apologies on the civil engineering side. Actually, two of our folks, one is at regionals this evening, so he actually did so well at his, he's doing, get what's called the stick and flying pole vaulting. He did so well that he's over at Eastern Regional, so he sends his apologies. And then Mr. Sands had an engagement this evening and was not able to join. For everyone out there, what's been your favorite part so far about the Citadel experience? So maybe not necessarily as an engineering student, but a cadet at the Citadel.
Kind of speaking off of being an engineering student, and then I'll speak on being a cadet part. There's not going to be anyone out there kind of like you. The degree program in itself with the cadet life, you have crunch times that you have to meet, deadlines that you have to meet, project and assignments. And it's basically like you are probably one of your kind in the whole South Carolina state, probably the whole East South Carolina area. There's no one else that's going to be able to go through the adversity that you've gone through when you finish the program. And going on the cadet life gives you a lot of time to being able to interact with people, get into interpersonal relationships, and be able to interact with people that you never really thought of interacting with, and being able to conform to a certain type of lifestyle while being able to do college and whatnot.
I'm going to go off of what Desmore said. The best part for me has been waking up and having full days every day with the best friends I've ever had in my life. And that's really always the best part. Being home, I kind of miss school a little bit just because, I don't have my best buddies here with me right now, but I did when I was at school. So that for me is what made it worth it and, what makes it an enjoyable time.
That's great. So we've got some really good questions coming in. Is anybody out there a ROTC scholarship recipient and can talk a little bit about whether or not you found time during the summer for internships?
So I actually am Army contracted. So I'll be commissioning into the Army following next year. And for military trainings and whatnot, you basically have you have different kind of opportunities going around. So I know with Air Force, speaking a little bit going to each branch, Air Force, you sophomore year is really your year where you're gonna have to do your military training, and then you come back. Then all the next 2 years you'll be able to do internships. For Army, I'll be heading out June 12th this year for my training. So it kind of like varies. I know with Navy and Marine Corps, for Navy it's pretty much every summer, but they also have special programs that you can do going around getting like some like educational services and whatnot. Also with Marine Corps, you could be both your sophomore and junior year. It kind of just like varies to vary, but there's like different like types of programs that you can do within school. That what I'm doing right now. Going in the senior year, I'll be doing a research study that I'll be doing with Dr. Bierman, one of the MEC professors, and they work with you and your schedules, so you'll be able to do that along with your corresponding with military trainings and whatnot.
I have a follow-up question. Do you still think it's necessary to get an internship since you've already got your job laid out as soon as you graduate with the military?
Absolutely. You can never learn too much. And just because you're going into the military training does not mean that you will not be using those learning skills that like in the military field, because you never know what job you're going to get and what purposes you're going to have that stuff for. Plus, when you get out of the military, if you want to, there's always going to be like that like resume where you can have, I did this type of training, this type of activities and whatnot when I was in college, this type of internships that helped me out to get to where I need to be, help me learn and be well-rounded in such fields.
Great. This one's more of a general question, so I'm going to defer to Mr. Sackett because you're just coming out of the freshman year. What did you do to help transition into your freshman year?
The advice I was given that I don't think I listened to well enough was do some push-ups at home before you go. And that's really all you got to worry about. Everything else, no matter what you do, the experience is going to be not what you expect. So just go in there, try your best, but definitely the PT aspect, that's something you can control, and just coming in strong with that, that's going to help you regardless of, everything else. So that's my main piece of advice.
Great. And then one of the upperclassmen, if you guys want to answer that from your perspective now.
Definitely the PT. It's probably the biggest aspect. We'll set you up for everything else you need, but we can only do so much for the physical aspect of things.
Awesome, thanks. Kind of along the lines of that, what's the living situation like? How, what's been your experience with roommates? How do they determine that?
So, I kind of got lucky my freshman year, and I got put with another engineering major. And in your freshman year, you're not really specialized in the type of engineering you're doing yet. It's like an introduction. So you're mostly doing your core classes like English and math and stuff like that. So it helps a lot when you have your buddy or your roommate who's in Calculus 1 with you or Calculus 2, whatever you're in. And, but you may get put with the different majors. It just depends.
Going off of what Earl said, I've had the pleasure in my whole cadet career to have had 9 roommates, going from back and forth, and each and every one of them have had something different to bring to the table. I've always loved having a political science major or an English major like in the room, because they would always help me out with all my English assignments or my writing assignments. But I would just be like, hey, can you check this out really quick? And it's like, yeah, let's take a look at that grammar. you're good at math, but the grammar is not there all the time. But yeah, you definitely get like a different perspective from every one of your majors. So definitely go in kind of like open-minded about each and every one of them.
So is there really a rhyme or reason to how they do roommate assignments?
Technically, no, but if they feel that you benefit from being with somebody or somebody would benefit from being with you, you might end up with them. But academically, there's no correlation there.
Right. CJ is asking, during your time, what classes are you expected to take? And so, Mr. Wilson.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Sure, no problem. So during your time, what classes are you expected to take?
Like as like freshman year or like throughout the whole time?
Throughout the whole time. And I think if you want to talk a little bit about your academic plan, how that works.
Yeah, so basically kind of like what Earl said, you kind of do your gen eds mostly in the first year, and you kind of get like your opening to engineering. And then as like sophomore year and junior year kind of rolls around, that's whenever you really start to focus on like the engineering discipline of your, I guess, major. And I've kind of done it too, where like my summer classes, I'll do like biology or I'll do a history and knock those out. So then whenever I'm during the school year, I can really like wind in and focus on my engineering classes. So if I were to range them out, basically it's going to be like pretty easy freshman year for the most part, and then as you go on and you prolong throughout your discipline, it's gonna get pretty hard. So you're really gonna have to like choke up and depend on your classmates. Goes back to the same reason why how engineering it's really pretty close net. You're working with your classmates all the time because assignments get pretty rough. So you work with professors. Always go to professors. That's another thing I was told and I learned. Go to your professors, like legit. They are there to help you. There's no embarrassment. Like you have to humble yourself at some point. So if you need help, if your classmates can't help you, professors all day long.
And did you find that your academic plan of study was pretty prescriptive, meaning we told you what classes to take at what year, what semester?
Yeah, my academic advisor, Dr. Peoples, he's been actually really great in helping me out and planning my schedule for each semester. I'll meet with him. You have to meet with your academic advisor to even get your courses like approved, or you get like checked off for this list. So same again, go to your professors and get those lined up. And actually they have the course catalog that really helps out too. And yeah, the classes have lined up very well with the course catalog.
Awesome. Thanks for that insight. How much time did you guys all find for extracurriculars? Was there a lot of time? How do you fit time in for something other than school on campus?
I can kind of hit on this. So besides doing electrical engineering, I'm also an Air Force contract, and I'm a small group leader in my BCM group, which is Baptist Collegiate Ministries, and I just got president of the flying club at Citadel as well. So I will say it's going to take a lot of time. It's like something you really need to be dedicated to. If you want to do a sport or you want to do like Rifle Legion or whatever it may be, make sure like you actually hunker down on your homework and stuff like that, especially weekends. Weekends are going to be your either catch up or get ahead time. So college is not what you think, this party and stuff. If you want to do that, then you will fail. I promise you, you will fail. So have your fun, do your thing. The school is going to be fun in itself, but if you're going to do extracurriculars, make sure you hunker down and you get your stuff done. So try not to slack around on the weekends.
And making Dr. Peoples proud. He's one of my favorite faculty members. Mr. Sackett, what advice do you have for balancing the difficulties of knob year and keeping up with your academics since you're fresh out of there?
I mean, you really just have to want it. You just have to go and make sure that you know why you're doing it and focus on academics first. It's really easy to get all caught up in the cadet stuff, all the, hey, shine your shoes a bunch, iron a bunch. Yeah, you got to do that. That's really important. But at the end of the day, the state of your shoes on a random Tuesday won't matter. But the test that you failed Wednesday morning because you stayed up all night Tuesday, that stays forever. The GPA doesn't go away. So I'd always say focus on academics above cadet stuff. And also, this is kind of an interesting piece of advice that I found was the opposite as to what I was told. I was always told, get out of your room, go study in an academic building, be by yourself. But I found that when I was in an academic building, I just talked to my buddies. I would never really focus on my work. But the pressure of having my academic officer and academic NCO come around and make sure we're studying, make sure we're not on our phones, that kept my head straight. That helped me focus. And yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Did any of you guys struggle during your time with academics and balancing your cadet responsibilities? And if so, how did you kind of navigate? How did you find a balance in the end?
Yeah, so I struggled my freshman year, and I kind of learned from my freshman year is that you have to have time off, right? I know Wilson said like you got to hunker down on the weekends, but you also need time for time off. You have to have that stress relief thing that lets you get away and like just not think about school, whether that's the gym or you have friends down in Charleston or you just go sightseeing. But that's probably the most important thing about college is like do your stuff, but then have that de-stressor that like helps you focus when you get back to school.
Yeah, if I can actually chip off of that, yeah, I agree 100% with Earl's. Yeah, you definitely need time off. So, like I said, yeah, hunker down on the weekends, but also get out. Like, just don't focus on anything school because it will tear you up mentally. And even I'm about to be a senior, and I will still almost every day of the week will go find a room like by myself and would just have that quiet time. So whether you do like prayer or you just want to sit there, listen to music, or just sit there and stare at the wall, find something to give yourself like a detox, at least from the day or from the week, and then get right back into it. So yeah, I encourage you having downtime big time.
I think that's really good advice. For our mechanical majors out there, or just in general, what has been your experience with class sizes within the engineering major? So,
One thing I could actually hit on this when making my decision when coming over to Citadel, I was kind of like thinking like like either Clemson, USC, or like Citadel, seeing how those are three South Carolina colleges basically. And one thing that I really liked about like Citadel was just like the class sizes. I believe my freshman year, I think my largest class size was about like maybe 30 or less. So I was able to actually interact with my professor. My professor knew my name. I knew his name. We had that kind of like, like forward and back kind of like relationship where I could like go to him and he could kind of walk me through a process where I wasn't clear on. And I saw that from freshman year going like to each like the sophomore year to junior year and just got stronger and stronger before. And then next thing you know, you get into your senior year, your junior year and whatnot. You're asking your professors, what more could I do? I would love to work more with you, seeing how well we work together, and you get that kind of compatibility with them and whatnot. And yes, you have your academic, you have your tutoring centers and whatnot that you can go to, but also you're gonna have like the people that are in your class, maybe someone that you see in there knows something that you don't, or gets something that you don't. You can also go to him and be like, wow, you actually got that a lot better than I did. Could you explain how you like just knew all that? It's like, yeah, and he can like kind of throw you to the sections in the book that he saw, that he read the night before, or his process that he thought about too. So you get close with your classmates and you also get close with your professors.
I think that's really good advice. So I'm going to geek out here a little bit. Somebody's asked about computer recommendations for civil engineering. The computer that's out there for purchase through our ITS department, that's perfect. That meets all the system requirements. It's good. It's solid. It will last you. No Chromebooks whatsoever. Chromebooks we have found have zero compatibility with our systems on campus. And if you can stay Windows-based, that's fine. Apple will work. You might just have some difficulties with some compatibility issues, but Apple's okay. Windows is preferred. I think Dr. Rapp fielded the question about our internships and study abroad. And then really, so our upperclassmen, when did you guys start really focusing on your internship, study abroad things outside of the major. When was that for y'all?
I started beginning of the sophomore year, right? Because like the Citadel, they don't necessarily not allow you to have a job, but you can't have an outside job, so you need money. So as soon as sophomore year came, I was looking for internships and everything, and I had one lined up, but COVID happened and I couldn't get it. So they definitely want you sophomore year, and then junior year is like your time to get one, but that's definitely when you should start. Like I'm like as soon as possible. You don't really have to worry about it your knob year, going into your knob year summer. Really enjoy that, and then sophomore year, as soon as it happens, you know, get on the internet, start searching, start getting one lined up for that summer.
All right. We've got somebody who's asking about the flying club. So we've got a person here. Mr. Wilson, how do they get in touch with you on how to get involved in the flying club?
Yeah, basically, I sent him a private message saying that if you're interested, just I sent him my email. I can actually put it down here in the chat too. Yeah, just send me an email and I can put you on the roster list, and then we can get you involved. And I can, if you want, you can email me. We can talk about that. But whenever you get to school, we're gonna have a meeting and like an intro meeting. So we'll have a school-wide email. So I'll let you know more about it.
Awesome, thank you. What's it like during the summer? You know, are you guys allowed to work?
Yes, 100% allowed to work. Like you just can't work like outside of the Citadel while at the Citadel. So during the summer, you're free.
Has anybody, what have you guys seen out there? You know, our smartphones are literally everywhere we are. Screen time, all that. What have you seen people do to unplug from their phones to make sure that they focus solely on schoolwork?
Either you have the willpower to, or or me and my friends, we usually kind of just like take each other's phone while we're studying and whatnot, and kind of like put it on silent so we wouldn't know who's texting us or anything like that. Although if like, you know, like a parent calls or whatnot, they let us know, but that's pretty much what we would do.
So something that's nice during your knob years, depending on your company, you'll have rules about what you can and can't do during ESP, which is the evening study period. So for me, I was not allowed to have my phone anywhere near me. It had to be on the sink, which is right by the door. Somebody comes around, opens the door, my phone's not there. You know, it's a problem. And so that helps out a lot in knob year. But if you're in an academic building, nobody's there to make you study. And so you have to want it. Like Desmore said, you have to want it. And for me, I found that if I have any device at all, I can procrastinate. So it's less about, oh, where's my phone? It's about, you know, do I want to do it or not? And at the end of the day, you kind of have to do it. So
thank you for touching on that. That's really good advice. Also, what is ESP for those out there that don't know?
ESP is the evening study period. So every day, Monday through Thursday, and then on Sunday from 7:50 to 10:30 is study time. That is all you're supposed to be doing. That's all you really can do. You can be in an academic building, you can be in your room, you can't go to the gym, you can't do anything. But as a knob, that is really, really a strict time. There are people making sure you're doing your thing. You can't be making uniforms, shining shoes, ironing, any of that. You're supposed to be just studying, and there are specific rules that can apply to that so that, you know, your upperclassmen won't be kicking in your room and harassing you during that time. That is your time to focus. That is your time to study. And honestly, it would be really foolish if, as a freshman, you don't take advantage of that time to do your work because it is the best time to do it.
Awesome, thank you. It's getting a little quiet out there on the chat, so I've got a couple of questions for whoever wants to field them. What's been the coolest thing you've done at the Citadel so far?
Survive engineering for this year. That's been the coolest thing. I'm pretty sure everybody can probably guess on that one. Going in, you're probably like, this is a hard major. I don't know about this one. Then you see us Sackett right now going to sophomore year, be like, whoa, that was crazy. I know Wilson and Earls right now are probably like, ain't that something?
Thank God junior year's over. That's what I'm praising for.
All right. Outside of academics, though, has anybody jumped out of a helicopter? I know that there are helicopters landing on campus. Took some people flying around the Charleston area.
I'd say one of the coolest things we've done at Citadel is like there's the where the Navy SEALs come in, and we have that big training. What was that? It was sophomore year.
It was like a sophomore like leadership thing that they
Yeah,
had.
sophomore leadership day. That's what it was, and you got to go to the beach and do all these bear crawls through the ocean and stuff like that, and it was a lot of fun. And then we also got to go to the Marine base down in Beaufort. Desmore knows about that one. And do training for if you're cadre. Y'all don't know what that means yet, but if you're cadre, then you'll get to go down there and do that, and that's also a lot of fun. But those are probably the two coolest things I've done while at the Citadel.
Mr. Desmore, you said you cycled through 9 different roommates. Has any of them been homesick, and how do y'all deal with that?
So kind of going through freshman junior year. Freshman year I was with a roommate, but like with like people quitting and whatnot during knob year, I kind of got moved around, and I ended up in a large room. So for kind of like variants, there in a battalion you're gonna have 4 corners basically, like a square, and in each of those corners there's a small room and a large room. A large room holds 4 roommates all together. So you're able to interact with like 3 other different guys and kind of like be able to share your experience with them. And my experiences with, I'm pretty sure Earls remember, it was a pretty fun one. It was for when you're in a large, basically, it's a kind of like a hangout room. Everyone comes in and kind of see what's next going on. So it was a pretty nice time getting to interact with each of my roommates. We got to interact with more people because that was usually the room everybody came into. At the end of the day, kind of like, like say, hey, how is everything going, and catch up. Sophomore year, I was in a regular room, so I just had 1 roommate. Not really anything homesickness or anything like that, because basically the school's going to keep you busy. You're not going to get a second to think like, oh man, I miss home. Actually, there's going to be a few times where your mom and dad's going to call you and be like, did you forget about me? And I'd be like, I'm sorry, but yes, that's school is. But yeah, each of my roommates has been a very grand experience to meet them and whatnot. We've kept each other on our toes, and I'm pretty sure the other Earls can tell you, roommates definitely give you a laugh every single day. Something else is new, and you're just like who is this guy?
Let's not shy away from the elephant in the room. How much sleep do y'all get?
This year I averaged 6 hours a night.
I wish I could push that. I wore my Apple Watch to sleep for a week, and only a week because it got too depressing because it tracks your sleep. I was getting an average of 3 hours and 57 minutes in bed my freshman year, which a lot of people can do better. I know that I didn't always work as hard as I could have during every minute of my day, and so a lot of that was my own fault. But don't be expecting 8-hour nights. You're gonna learn to nap, and you're gonna learn to function when really tired because you have to.
Yeah, I think at like a minimum, you can probably get from, if you were to go to sleep at, let's say 12, right? I mean, that might be late for some of you guys, but formation hopefully gets pushed back. But we had formation at 6 o'clock in the morning. So you'd have to like be ready by like 55 at the very least to rush out. So you could probably get 6 at the most if you get all your stuff done. I know for me, I probably average about 3.5 hours a night, maybe 4, 5 if I get my stuff done pretty good early.
Man, and I will say I'm impressed by all the cadets walking around. Y'all look sharp going on 3 hours of sleep. Because let me tell you, if I did that, I think my boss would send me home and tell me to change. So good for you guys. So our electrical engineering degree closely parallels our computer engineering degree. So this question is mainly for our electrical/computer engineering guys out there. Any tips or anything you guys can offer for someone going into that major?
Yeah, you better like computers because it's hard. That's the best way to put it. The first computer class I had with Dr. Hain, and he really put me through the ringer. Yeah, it's you better like them.
I actually made up an analogy about like computer science and electrical engineering had a baby and then they got divorced and no, I'm sorry. If electrical engineering and math had a baby, but then they got divorced and math got full custody, that's literally electrical. It's like it's mostly math, so you better enjoy math, like no joke. So yeah, their computers are involved, but there's math behind that. So if you don't like math, you better go somewhere else.
How long did it take y'all to learn knowledge?
The whole time. I mean, we got most of our stuff down pretty early this year because cadre period didn't end at all. It kind of went all the way through until rec day, but you keep trucking every single morning until rec day, and there'll be days where, hey, someone you learned last week, all of a sudden the words come out funny, and you just can't remember exactly what comes first in the cadet creed, and you'll get it eventually, but don't expect it to be an overnight thing. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, and your classmates won't always get it, and you'll all learn what happens when people don't know their knowledge.
Don't worry, when you get a squad sergeant like Mr. Earls here, and he has you screaming at the top of your lungs every morning, you'll get it.
We've got another question about roommates. Is there any opportunity to decide who you can be roommates with? Do you guys get to list a preference, or is it just your room assignments, you're going where you're told?
Freshman year, you have no choice. You just have to, unless something major happens, like you get in a fight with them, then you can't choose. And even then you can't choose. We choose for you. But sophomore through senior year, if you find a person that you like to stay with, then you can definitely choose.
Yeah, if I can add really quickly, yeah, freshman year they kind of try to like pair you with someone close to your major. So like my freshman year, don't be like my first roommate. My first roommate was the first guy to leave the school. Like he quit 4 hours into matriculation day. So there's that. And then I had to go to someone else's room. And then my roommate then was a mech major, and he wasn't the best either. So just because like your roommate has like a similar major doesn't mean like they're going to have the same motivation. So try not to let their energy affect you that much. But yeah, like Earls was saying, you kind of can get to pick going forth in the years. For me, I didn't get to pick. I got stuck in a large one time with 2 seniors and a junior. Then I got stuck in another room with a senior. Like my sophomore year was not a good time. But if you can find a good buddy freshman year, then try to stick with them throughout the rest.
I'm just gonna add on to what Wilson said a little bit. Both of my roommates freshman year were business majors, and I'm not gonna make any jokes or say anything playing to any of the stereotypes, but there is gonna be a workload difference inevitably, and part of most of the times when I'd butt heads with my roommate, it's because I'd be up doing work and he'd be like, dude, can you just do this some other time? Dude, just go to bed. And you're gonna have to realize that, not everybody has the same thing going on, and it's kind of tough. It is tough to stay a little motivated and to really be focused on, hey, I'm gonna stay an engineer, I'm gonna be an engineer, when you see what you could be doing instead, getting that extra, half an hour, 40 minutes of sleep a night. But I mean, you just gotta want it.
I'm really glad that you guys touched on that. Myself and 2 of our student services coordinators actually had that discussion today. The number 1 paying degree for graduates at the Citadel, the highest paying degree is engineering. So you get paid for the sweat equity that you're putting in. And so, Crim J and some of the other majors, a lot less earning first year out of college. So just remember, that as you guys are going through as engineering majors, your sweat equity pays in the end. You are the highest paid first year graduates right out of school, and we have a near 100% job placement rate. So not only will you get a job, you'll also be one of the highest paid graduates day one right after the Citadel. So no, even though you're staying up later, you're working a little bit harder, don't worry. You're going to get paid more than your roommate that's not an engineering major. This one pivots a little bit more to PT, physical fitness. Do you guys take supplements, drinks? What have you seen around campus? What's available at the cadet store, bookstore, different venues?
So this really depends on what you want to do. You don't need supplements. All right. We have a mess hall. You just need to go to the mess hall and eat the food, like eat a couple plates of food, and then you're good to go. If you want to get, super big, and then you can bring protein, whatever, creatine, whatever you want to take. Like if we see supplements in your room as an upperclassman, we're not gonna say anything about it. We enjoy seeing somebody, trying to be healthy and everything like that. But bring some Gatorade powder. You gotta have Gatorade powder. That's a big one. And drink a lot of water.
I want to go back to something that I saw in the chat that I think I skipped over. The math exam placement. If you have specific questions about that, go ahead and shoot me an email. Actually, one of our department heads may have emailed you privately about math exam and what classes you'll be taking. If you've not gotten that answer, go ahead and just shoot me an email. I'll go ahead and put my email right now in the chat. And we can get math placement information out to you. So my email, I don't know, for whatever reason, the IT department decided to go with my middle name as my last. So my email address is dscott2@citadel.edu, and just shoot me an email there. And then also, did any of you guys go through CSI before coming in as a cadet? Okay, great. So we will answer this with our department heads about taking a math course prior to CSI. So just Tamara, you're out there. Just remind me to circle back around to your question so we make sure that we get that answered. I'm seeing if a cybersecurity minor or double major works well with a computer engineering major. That's probably going to be more appropriate for Dr. McKinney when we shift to our department head, so we'll answer that. Mr. Earls, it seems like you had some experience as cadre this past semester. What advice would you give for incoming knobs now that you've seen kind of a full year working directly with our rising freshmen? What advice would you give as a member of cadre?
Just be a normal person. All right. We don't want to see you out there, we want to see you pushing yourself, but not too hard. Like push yourself hard, but don't try to suck up to us because we don't like that. Just be a normal person, come down there, get your stuff done, and just really focus on you, right? Don't worry about what we think. Just worry about what needs to be done. And then you'll be good to go.
I think that's great advice. Do we have any other members of cadre out there?
Desmore was the first semester.
Any advice on your part?
Oh, yeah. Motivated every day. It's going to be a rough tassel of time every day, and you're not going to see our faces after the second day. Guarantee it. After the first hour, guarantee it. But you got to be motivated. You got to find that joy every day. You got to take it one day at a time. And that's going to get you to rec day, to the next test, to the next year, one day at a time.
Awesome. I got a private message from CJ. Go ahead and ask that question when we move to our department head. I would suggest asking that to Dr. Rab. He'd be the best person to answer that question that you just shot over to me. To all you guys out there, what's your favorite instructor? What's been your favorite professor that you've had so far, and why? Don't worry, doesn't mean that you don't like your other professors, but who's been your favorite and why?
If I'm going to be completely honest, not because he's in the room, but Dr. McKinney, like legit. I'm so serious. As much as I love Dr. Peoples, he's been a fantastic academic advisor. Dr. McKinney will get like on a very personal level. Like I've had very personal conversations with him. And like this goes back to what I was saying. Get close with your professors. Don't kiss up to them, but talk to them. You know, they're people too. They're not there to make your life miserable, even though it feels like it sometimes. But just try to get close with your professors, because Dr. McKinney has helped me through personal things, has helped me through like tests. Even when you're home, like over breaks, like email them, talk to them. They have no problem. So yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with Dr. Rashuda, who was my Mech 102 professor this semester. Actually, when I pre-nobbed, I met him, so it's kind of cool coming back around and having him as an actual instructor. But he was just, very, very good at teaching the material and making sure you knew it, but also was just a fun, easygoing guy on the side. And also was the only class where I'd show up and only work with my first name. There was never Sackett's a pretty, I was the only Sackett. I'm the only Sackett I know. So even my buddies who can call me by my first name, or could the whole time, would never call me by it just because that was the name. And so I walk into Dr. Rashu's class and be like, "Oh, hey Charles, how are you?" And it would just be nice. And so it was just a really great learning experience. And I have him actually scheduled, so I have him next semester as well.
His office is pretty cool too. He's got like 3 3D printers in there, and I think there's like flat screens now. What can someone expect on matriculation day other than chaos?
A fun time.
Get ready for your haircut. I mean, honestly, I was looking forward to that. Like, no joke. I was ready to be bald.
And it's going to be hot. It's going to be a warm, warm, warm day in Charleston, regardless of how prepared you are. So just expect it. It'll be fun.
Yeah, hitting off of that one, if you are from the north and you have not been to the south at all, I suggest water, hydration, because the humidity is definitely a different ball game.
Hey, listen, I think that's a good point. Listen, I'm from Florida, and I thought I knew what heat was. It's different in Charleston. You know, I grew up in Miami, lived in Sarasota, spent quite a bit of time in Orlando. The heat here is different because you don't have the ocean around you. You're getting heated from the landmass, and then there's pluff mud everywhere, and so it just traps this humidity here. It's almost like Jumanji, so yeah, can't agree with you more. How's Challenge Week? There's a question about the first week before classes begin. What would you guys think on that?
It's another great time. Another great time.
Again, hydrate. It is a whole ball game. You are going to get thrown into the abyss, and you are going to remember none of it, but you are going to remember that one factor, that it was long, it was sweaty, it was hard.
And you're going to look really goofy because you don't know how to wear the uniforms right, and they won't let you wear the uniforms right. So just, again, it's one of those things where it's not that bad in retrospect, but I'll be honest, I don't remember any of it. I just remember the pounding on the door in the morning, and then being on my phone for 10 minutes at night, just texting my mom, be like, "Hey, I miss you." And then that was it. So it'll be fine. You just survive it.
I mean, you guys look sharp in those t-shirts, shorts, and then the long socks and shiny shoes running around campus.
I wouldn't call them shiny shoes.
Don't forget your idiot bag too.
All right, well, we're coming up pretty quick on the 8 o'clock hour. And I want to make sure that we allow some time for our department heads to come in and answer some of the questions that didn't necessarily align well with our cadet panel. That's a really good question that we've got from Tamara, asking, what is a typical day in the life of a cadet?
So as a knob, your day is going to start off pretty gruesome. You're gonna get up. You're gonna meet with your other squad and whatnot. Basically, you're gonna come down in formation. Nothing that you've done is right. Everything you do is wrong. Just starting out with. Then you're gonna start your day after probably getting like traumatized in the morning. Maybe it's a fun time. And you go to your classes. You do a little speed walk to your classes. You get in there. It's like whew, this is classes. Absorb everything and be sure that you take as much information as you can because you're probably not going to remember it in a few weeks. Definitely. You're going to come back and go to all your classes. You're probably going to forget one of your books. You have to come back to your room, get your stuff, going to get racked out there maybe a little bit, come back to your classes, start it all over again. You're going to end the day. End the day with like, like some formations, whatnot, whatever cadet life stuff you have to do, maybe a shine party here or there. Then you're going to get to your studies. After your studies, lights out. Get prepared for the next day. You're going to forget something for the next day. And that is the day in the life of a cadet. As a knob. Sophomore year gets way tougher.
Mr. Sackett, you just came out of it. You want to talk a little bit about your experience?
The problem is, I mean, Desmore covered it really well. But even then, I think without my experience was largely dictated by COVID protocols, which meant, for a long time, I couldn't go in anybody else's room. The only person I'd talk to was my roommate. We didn't have squad rooms. But the nice thing is next year should pretty much be normal. We got to a pretty normal experience by second semester. But yeah, that's it. And a piece of advice that I was given and did not listen to regarding day in, day out life is just go to mess, go eat your meals. Don't be stupid. Don't skip meals. Don't rely on clubs to feed you because you want to stay awake in class, eat a full meal. You want to not feel tired, eat a meal. It's really basic stuff, but people get all psyched out about going and, squaring meals. It's not that bad. You'll be fine. Just go and eat your food. I'm kind of a hypocrite. I didn't do this that much, but still, my buddy who never ate at all, why was he napping for 4 or 5 hours a day and then struggling to, do his work? It's because he wasn't eating. Simple as that.
I think that's really good advice. And I just found this out too. What's the PT schedule like? Because I thought it was every day, but is it? What's that like?
No, it's Monday and Thursday. So, but the new commandant, there's rumors that it might be 3 days a week. So probably Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we'll see.
Yeah, the way it worked out this past year was kind of different than what it used to be. But in a regular sense, it's usually Monday, Thursday PT. We're gonna have a PT test for very soon. So I have those PT scores high up there because if not, then there's a thing called remedial PT. Remedial PT is where they like extra military, like PT. You come out there, you work out with the athletic officers and whatnot on Tuesdays and Fridays. So it's either 2 days a week if you have your PT down, and if not, then it's 4 days a week.
Awesome. Mr. Wilson, is that any different for a contract?
No, not really. You still have PT every single time with the Corps, except sometimes depending on your branch, you'll have separate PT mornings. So my knob year, I had PT like probably three to four times a week. Like it was like Monday mornings, Monday and Thursday mornings, and then I think also like Friday mornings too, and something else on the weekend. I don't know.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Any last words of advice for these guys?
Just like in general, right?
Yep. So yeah, we're gonna shortly shift to our department heads here in a minute. What would be your one piece of advice that if you could go back in time? Why don't we phrase it this way? If you could go back in time and talk to your knob self, what would be the one piece of advice you would give yourself?
Probably be more, I'd say just dedicated to like academics. Because my knob year, I was trying to do like the uniform stuff, all the knob, whatever. So really, if like have that strong work ethic in the beginning and try to carry that throughout your whole career. Because my knob year, it took me a minute. Like sophomore year, I finally came around. So don't let that happen to you. Just keep it strong in the beginning.
Just know that the sun is going to shine and it is going to be better. Those 9 months are going to get through just like that. So just enjoy the experience that you're going to have throughout the whole entire knob year. It's going to be a fun time. And for the person asked what is knob year, that's the freshman year that we were talking about.
Piece of advice I would give is, well, like Desmore said, enjoy it. It actually, in a very backwards way, is a great time. And I remember after rec day, I kind of missed it a little bit, but we're not going to talk about that. The main thing I want to say is there is a lot of time in a day, and you learn that normally as a cadet, but you got to realize that, okay, I'm going to sit in this room for 30 minutes away from my next class or whatever. Great, do some homework, because all those hours, they add up, and I mean, you can go to bed 30 minutes earlier that night, and that makes a world of a difference day in, day out, just getting a full night's sleep if you can. So capitalize on any downtime you have during the day, work ahead if possible, and it'll make your life easy.
I think that's really good advice. Mr. Earls.
Yeah, 100%. You gotta enjoy it. Like, I'm not saying I didn't enjoy my knob year, but if I could go back and do some things again, I would definitely push the limits a little bit, I guess you could say, as with the upperclassmen. Because, as a cadre, we get bored too, right? Push the limits a little bit, but don't go too far. You'll know what I'm talking about when you get there. But definitely enjoy it, and it'll pay off in the end.
Well, since we're coming up at the 8 o'clock hour, I'd like to thank all of you guys for taking time out of your summer again. For our audience that's out there, these guys are on their summer furlough, so they've been working hard this entire year. And so they're on summer furlough, and they have taken time out of their rest and relaxation period to come and talk to you guys. So if you all see them on campus, please thank them. And on behalf of myself, our department heads, as well as the dean, who unfortunately couldn't be here this evening, we thank you all for spending a little time with us and our incoming class of 2025. So thank you. Okay, and now with that, I'd like to go ahead and move over to our department heads that are joining to answer some of the general questions that we've seen out there. So there's been some questions about math placement, things that you guys can do in advance to get prepped for your chosen major. We've been talking a little bit about the academic plan. So if you guys have questions about how that's going to work in your 4-year plan of study, these are the guys to ask. So let me go ahead and introduce them. Hold on one second. I've got to give them the power to unmute. So stand by. Man, I thought I was doing so well with this. All right, so our department heads that are joining this evening, we have our department head of civil and construction engineering, Dr. Jeff Davis, our department head for electrical and computer engineering, Dr. Mark McKinney, and last but not least, we have our department head for mechanical engineering, Dr. Robert Grab. So welcome, guys. If you guys can just introduce yourself a little bit. Where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm Jeff Davis, and I'm actually from Charleston. I didn't grow up here the whole time, but I love Charleston, love the Citadel, love engineering. And I worked for a while out in the real world, and I've been here, finished my 24th year. And we have faculty in our department that have a lot of years of experience and love to teach. And the great questions that were asked by you guys. And it was always fun to hear the answers of our cadets who are here, and really good information. And that's what you'll see. Like, we're a learning community, and we're, the professors' alliance with the students is very unique at the Citadel. And we're all here to help each other. Our success relies on one another. And it really makes for a great place to learn. professors have open door policies, and you can come talk to us pretty much at any time. And there's all kind of different levels of support. Our programs are rigorous, but very supportive at the same time. So I think that it really models the kind of work and the kind of alliances you need to have when you get out in the real world anyway. And so you leave here with a really unique set of skills, the technical skills from the curriculum, and the leadership skills, and the personal interaction skills, teamwork. That's a very, very unique skill set. So I could talk all day, but I'll let Dr. McKinney introduce himself.
Thanks, Jeff. So I am Mark McKinney, the head of the Electrical and Computer Engineering Department. Jeff and I actually started here at the same time. So I've been at the Citadel also for 24 years. And I would agree with everything that Jeff says. One of the really neat things, and I think you heard it listening to some of our students, is that all of our professors are basically here for undergraduate engineering education, and you just don't get that at a whole lot of other institutions. This is what we do, and I, Mr. Wilson said it, that your professors are here all the time, and you can go and ask them questions. Their offices are right next to where the classrooms are. It's a level of availability that you don't get a whole lot of other places. We also, we don't have graduate students. We don't have graders. We don't have any of that, which is a curse, a blessing and a curse. But it means that we get to know all of our students really well. In the Electrical and Computer Engineering Department, we're 7 faculty members. We're all PhDs in our field. And I bet I could go to all 7 of them and say, let's, rattle off all your students in your classes. And they would be able to tell you their names. They'd be able to tell you something about them. And we love it. We love what we do. So good choice for the Citadel, good choice for engineering. Excited to see you guys here in a short time. So I'll hand it over to Dr. Rab now.
Hey, thank you, Mark. I'm Robert Rabb. I originally grew up in Texas. Haven't really lived there very much since then. Had a career in the military for 25 years, got out about 8 years ago, and then I landed here. Set up the mechanical engineering program. Right now we've got, a good number of students, and they're all excellent students. We've got even a great faculty here, all new. A few of us are tenured. A few of us are still working our ways through that lineup there. But like Dr. McKinney said, we're not, bound to our research, and we do things like that, but we don't, have a bunch of graduate students that we're trying to get through the program and get graduate degrees. We're really focused on undergraduate education. And with that, we know all of our students. I'm making a policy of mine to know all my students' first names on the first day of class. And I'll get a John that wants to be called a Jack or something like that. But that's okay. I mean, I'll get it after that hour. But I think that's taken off with a lot of our faculty. You've heard Charles Sackett there talk about, Dr. Washida calling him by his name. But that's just what we do here. So we get to know our students and they get to know us. But I'll turn it back over here to Mr. Harris.
Would you guys say that you guys work equally as hard for the students as they are for their education?
I'd say we work a little bit harder, maybe. But I think
certainly have more of them.
Yeah, we're outnumbered, but I think we do. We work very hard for them. So, their success is our success. And that's the way I see it. And that's what I want to tell our faculty is that when we see them excel and win awards and go on to graduate school and land some great jobs and things like that, that's our success. All right. So that's what we're striving for.
Yeah, our classes, you'll notice a big difference. So like we're a teaching institution. So we really focus on not only the transferring of technical information, but like in a way that actually helps you learn. So you don't come to class and have a person standing in front giving you a direct lecture, blah, 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 go learn all this stuff on your own. No, there's all kind of amazing interactive ways to learn that really are way beyond that. And that's what our faculty are doing. And they're bringing all this kind of technology. It's very common for faculty to bring a cart into the room full of all kind of demonstrations that help you visualize what's going on. In our construction engineering program, they go out in the field all the time, field trips to construction sites, and see firsthand what's going on a construction site, hear from people that are in charge of those sites. And so it's very lively, very active learning. It's not just you sitting there and listening to somebody. It's you going through all these great ways of learning and being really, highly engaged in the process of learning.
And I'm going to follow up a little bit with what Jeff said, and I agree 100% with him. And Derek, you asked, do we care as much as our students do? And it's kind of interesting because the students, it's almost like an inverse relationship. There's students, the best students, we actually don't have to motivate. They motivate themselves a lot. But those guys are going to be fine anywhere. And one of the advantages that the Citadel has is that middle group of students that we've got this very direct relationship with. They're the ones where I feel like we really make a big difference. And you hit on some of this earlier with some of the resources that are available to them. And somebody texted me or private messaged me and said, what's the biggest tip you can give for getting through the computer engineering program? And I, without hesitation, responded that it's to use the resources that are available to you, because they are huge. We've got a lot of them. We've got a student success center. We've got people. We've got Derek and pretty much all of the staff in their job description is student support services, and so we've got people dedicated to support for engineering students. And this is the biggest thing, and this is a tough thing at the Citadel. Do not be afraid to reach out for help if you need it. If you've got something going on in your life, if you've got something that's happening, we are human beings. We understand. We've probably been there. You're certainly not the first student we've ever seen that's had life happening in the middle of a semester or something. Do not just, think I'm at the Citadel, I have to suck it up. I have to take it. I have to, fight through this. Reach out to your professors, reach out to the student support people. And we will, I have seen amazing things from the faculty and from the staff to help students get through whatever they're going through. So don't be afraid to reach out if you need it.
And then to our audience that's out there, this is the time to start asking questions about plans of study, math placement, all that other stuff. We're actually working through a lot of that right now. So if any of you guys are coming in and you have those questions, these are the guys to ask. CJ, again, this was the person that I told you, Dr. Rab is with us. So I think that was a great question. If you want to put that out there, I won't put you on the spot, but Dr. Rab is with us.
Yeah, is this about the math placement exam?
No.
Okay.
All right, so I'm not seeing a lot of questions out there. I guess we did a really good job answering everybody's questions. Again, our conversations do not end once we close down our Zoom meeting. This is just the beginning of a 4-year-long conversation with you guys. So after this evening, again, if you have questions, I'm going to go ahead and put my email back in the chat. For those that are joining us via Zoom recording, that is dscott2@citadel.edu. Feel free to ask any and all questions. If I can't answer it for you, I will make sure to connect the right person in there. And my apologies, I did forget to introduce myself at the start of our Zoom meeting. My name's Derek. If you guys see me around campus, I don't go by Mr. Harris. I don't go by Sir. I understand if there's upperclassmen and you've got to go to Sir, Mr. Harris, but if it's just us and you want to say hi, please, I go by Derek. Again, I'm the Director of Student Services and Special Projects for the School of Engineering. Like our department heads, I see my role mainly working for you guys and making sure that you're successful. So at the end of the day, I feel like I answer to our cadets and students. So again, if you see me walking around campus, just say, hey, Derek, I was one of the guys on Zoom. Feel free to introduce yourself, tell me how things are going, and check in. So see that we've got a couple of other email addresses that are popping in. So if you have questions for electrical engineering or computer engineering, Dr. McKinney's email is mckinney@citadel.edu. Dr. Davis's email for civil and construction engineering is jeff.davis@citadel.edu. And then Dr. Rabb for mechanical engineering majors out there is rrabb, RABB with 2 B's @citadel.edu. But again, if you guys can't remember that, just shoot me an email with any questions and I'll make sure to forward it on to them and loop them in. So
there are a few questions about math and the math placement exam. And I think that you do want to prepare for the math placement exam. There are some resources that are available that you can get to by just Googling Citadel math placement exam. And you know, I think that, well, you know, it's best to take the classes here, I would think. You know, if you take them, transfer them in, I don't know. I think I would want to take them here just for the efficiency of that. And I would equate the math curriculum to like the long distance running of academia. And you start wherever that math placement exam tells you. And then it's really more about how your method to build on the successes that you achieve through diligent work. And then you'll get the results you want. Just like anybody here could be a marathon runner if they wanted to. And you would get to that by training and the amount of time and effort that you put into it. So I think, and then we have a lot of resources to help you with that. And that would be one thing I'd say is really unique that Dr. McKinney was talking about is, you know, we have students maybe sometimes hit a bump in the road and just almost the collective will of the faculty in the department. We have 14 faculty in our department and 2 staff and a few graduate assistants. And just the concentration of support and the willing of people to have success is a major asset to students, and it almost in every case works to help the student get through whatever difficulty they're facing. So I think that, and the math, you know, is something that I'm sure that you will meet with success, and if you put in the work, you will get the results that you need. And whether you start in Math 119 or Calculus 1, Math 131, it's really more about building on success, just like you would if you were a long distance runner, starting with a 5K, 10K, or wherever you're at. And it's more about the process to help you build success. And there was a question about CSI. It's a College Success Institute. It's a program over the summer that helps you kind of ease into the Citadel. And I think that probably all of that, I don't know that you can, it starts pretty soon. I think most of the registrations would be complete for that. But if you need more information, we can help kind of track that down for you.
yeah, if you have any questions about CSI, go ahead and just shoot me an email and I'll make sure that we link you up with all the relevant information. But like Dr. Davis said, I think most of the registration for CSI is completed. Like he said, it's Citadel light. So you're taking some classes that you get that out of the way. You don't do any marching or whatever, but they're parading around campus. So you get to experience the campus for a little bit. And it's a multi-week or 2-week, 3-week program where you're living on campus. If you joined us at our financial aid session, unfortunately, CSI is not financial aid eligible because it is not towards a program of study. So that would be an out-of-pocket cost. But as we're quickly approaching the 8:15 mark here, and I want to get us off for the evening. Again, thank you to everybody that's joining. We've seen really good participation this evening from the audience that are out there. For those, again, that are watching this via YouTube, feel free to get in touch with me at your convenience. So again, my email is dscott2@citadel.edu. And we're more than happy to make sure that we get all of the answers to your questions before you guys arrive. So with that, appreciate our department heads for joining and everybody out there for joining us. And if there's anything that you guys may have want to rewatch or listen to, we will upload a recording of this to YouTube and we will send out the link to the email address in which you got this invite. So just take a look for that. That'll be coming out in a few days. So again, to everybody that's joining, thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you in August. And don't forget our next and our final webinar is going to be on Wednesday, June 23rd, same time, same place, where we'll be talking about career options in engineering. So thanks, everyone. Have a good evening. We'll see you later.